The bright lights of the Hollywood studio hummed with a vibrant energy as the cameras began to roll for another exciting edition of the Newlywed Game. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of fresh floor wax and stage makeup. From the heart of Hollywood, the announcer's voice boomed across the set, introducing the stars of the day to the cheering audience. There were 4 couples standing in the spotlight, each representing a different chapter of marital bliss. Couple number 1, Trisha and Craig McGill, had celebrated their marriage 15 months ago. Beside them stood couple number 2, Connie and John Flinkham, who had said their I do's just 2.5 months ago. Couple number 3, Heather and Tony Thomas, had tied the knot 19 months ago, while couple number 4, Angie and Bob Rowe, had exchanged rings 5 months ago. Then, with a flourish, the star of the show made his entrance. Bob Eubanks stepped onto the stage with a practiced smile, waving to the enthusiastic crowd. He thanked everyone and welcomed the audience to the Newlywed Game. Turning to the couples, he asked if they were ready to play, expressing his hope that they were in the right place for some fun. The game began with a traditional opening move. Bob explained that they would start by asking the husbands some questions. To ensure fairness, the ladies were asked to depart to the soundproof booth. As the wives filed off the stage, Bob reminded the husbands that he would be asking 5-point questions. Each husband had to predict how his wife would answer the same question when she returned. A match in answers would earn the couple 5 points, and the highest score at the end would win a fabulous second honeymoon. Once the ladies were safely out of earshot, Bob turned his attention to the 4 men. He asked them to hold up their fists and prepare to count on their fingers. The first question focused on the last 72 hours. Bob read a list of things the wives might have been guilty of: ruining at least 1 meal, starting at least 1 argument, telling at least 1 white lie, wasting money on at least 1 stupid thing, or passing on at least 1 whoopee session. Bob Rowe was the first to answer, holding up 1 finger. He explained that it was the second item on the list. He noted that his wife tended to have a very expressive personality which occasionally rubbed him the wrong way, leading them to bump into a little argument. Tony Thomas also held up 1 finger for the second option, the argument. He remarked that his wife would argue about anything, even if he took too long in the bathroom. John Flinkham followed suit with the same answer, though he philosophically noted that it takes 2 to tango, even if they had managed to settle it down. When Bob Eubanks turned to Craig McGill, he couldn't help but notice Craig's attire. Craig was wearing a kilt, specifically the black Stuart clan tartan. When asked how many fingers he held up, Craig confidently said none. He claimed his wife had been close to those things but hadn't actually done any of them in the last 72 hours. Moving to the next 5-point question, Bob asked the men what 1 thing of their wife's should have been folded, spindled, and mutilated a long time ago. Tony suggested his wife's work uniform. John, in a move that drew gasps and laughter, suggested his wife's cat, Amadeus. Craig targeted his wife's white slip-on plastic shoes, which he described as a bad sandal-type affair. Bob Rowe, on the other hand, pointed to his wife's habit of making lists for everything. The final question of the first round asked the husbands to complete a sentence about the first time they met their wives. John recalled meeting in his kitchen at home, and he believed she said hello first. Craig remembered meeting at the Westin St. Francis in San Francisco. He admitted he never actually said hello but instead waved her over frantically. Bob Rowe met his wife at a friend named Todd's house, and he believed she said hello first. Tony met his wife at a club and stated that he was the one who said hello first. With the first round of questioning complete, the show took a brief intermission for messages. The audience heard about the benefits of Chic's performance sheets for a cool night's sleep. A moving segment followed for the Wounded Warrior Project, featuring Jason, a veteran who suffered a traumatic brain injury in Iraq, highlighting the importance of supporting injured service members. There was also a festive reminder from Nuts.com about holiday snacks like roasted pistachios and dark chocolate-covered almonds. When the show returned, the ladies were brought back to the stage to see if their answers matched their husbands' predictions. Bob Eubanks explained the rules again, and the ladies held up their fists. Trisha McGill held up 1 finger, admitting she had ruined a meal because she wasn't much of a cook. However, Craig had predicted she would say none, so no points were awarded. Connie Flinkham held up no fingers, claiming to be perfect, but John had predicted she would admit to starting an argument. They bickered momentarily about a boat capsizing incident, but no points were scored. Heather Thomas held up 3 fingers, mentioning an argument during a game of Pictionary and passing on a whoopee session. Tony had only predicted one, the argument, so they also missed the points. Finally, Angie Rowe held up 1 finger for starting a fight. Since Bob had predicted exactly that, they earned 5 points. The second round of matching focused on the items to be folded, spindled, or mutilated. Connie guessed her blue and white striped dress, but John had said her cat, much to her playful dismay. Heather couldn't come up with an answer, and since the judge required a quick response, she lost the chance. Tony had predicted her work uniform. Angie guessed her shoes, but Bob had specified her lists. Trisha correctly guessed her white slip-on shoes, matching Craig's prediction and earning 5 points. In the meeting story round, Tony and Heather matched because the judge deemed Don Jose's to be the club Tony had mentioned. Angie and Bob missed their match because of a disagreement over who said hello first. Trisha and Craig matched perfectly on the location of the Westin St. Francis and the fact that he waved her over. Connie and John missed their match because John thought she said hello first in his kitchen, while she thought he did. Another break featured a call to help suffering animals through a winter charity drive, and an advertisement for Clear Captions, a service helping those with hearing loss stay connected with family. As the final segment began, the stakes were raised to 10 points per match. The ladies were now asked to predict their husband's answers. The first question was about bedroom boot camp and which area the husband needed the most training in: endurance, skill, teamwork, or technique. Heather, Connie, and Trisha all chose endurance, while Angie chose skill. The next question used a Pinocchio analogy. The wives had to finish the sentence about a time they felt their nose growing because they told their husband his blank was great. Trisha said his belly, Angie said his bald spot, Heather said his mustache, and Connie said his driving. For the 25-point bonus question, the wives were asked to name their favorite beverage with most dinners. Angie and Connie said water, Heather said soda, and Trisha said wine. The show paused for a final set of messages, featuring the Power XL self-cleaning juicer and Wherever Real underwear for incontinence protection, before the final reveal. The husbands returned to the stage. For the bedroom boot camp question, John chose teamwork, missing Connie's prediction of endurance. Tony chose endurance, matching Heather for 10 points. Bob Rowe chose teamwork, missing Angie's prediction of skill. Craig chose teamwork, missing Trisha's prediction of endurance. In the Pinocchio round, Bob Rowe guessed his guitar playing, but Angie had said his bald spot. Craig guessed his singing, even singing a few lines of a Scottish song about Donald from the Isle of Skye, but Trisha had said his belly. John guessed his flute playing, but Connie had said his driving. Tony guessed his driving, but Heather had said his mustache. Finally, it came down to the 25-point bonus question about the favorite dinner beverage. John guessed Kahlua, but Connie had said water, leaving them with 0 points for the day. Bob Rowe guessed water, matching Angie perfectly and bringing their total to 30 points. Craig guessed a glass of wine, matching Trisha and bringing their total to 35 points. Tony guessed Dr. Pepper, but since Heather had said soda, the judge ruled it a mismatch because the answers had to be exact. With 35 points, Trisha and Craig McGill were declared the grand prize winners of the Newlywed game. Bob Eubanks congratulated them on their win, which included a romantic trip to Maui. He thanked all the couples and the audience, signing off with his signature farewell as the credits began to roll over the scene of the happy winners celebrating their upcoming second honeymoon.